Hey.
Hey. Chelsea Lake, the 9 Sports here. Kia, I'm curious what your anticipation is going into Wednesday's home game, preseason, of course, but what are you looking forward to seeing from the team and from yourself specifically, but also like with the atmosphere?
Yeah, I mean, based on going just to the court unveiling and being in that atmosphere, I'm expecting a pretty big atmosphere just for a preseason game, right? Even though this is kind of the run up to the real deal, Toronto fans and the Tempo fans have already kind of shown up. And so I'm excited to see the atmosphere in the gym there. From a team perspective, I think we're really excited to play against somebody who isn't our practice players or ourselves. So just an ability to kind of get an opportunity to play against somebody else, play against some different schemes, and kind of really give ourselves an opportunity to see where we are in comparison to, obviously, some teams have played a game on Wednesday already, which is crazy fast in a preseason, but to get ourselves ready for the competition that is the WNBA. And so just getting used to the systems, going out there, getting used to one another, knowing that mistakes are going to be made and that there are going to be some moments of kind of frustration or trying to figure things out, but everybody's going to get an opportunity to probably play and get on the floor and show what you can do. And so it's just an exciting moment.
Hey, Kia. Scott Campsell with The Score. It seems like you've been, dubbed the unofficial Toronto ambassador, for the rest of your teammates.
Wild, right? I'm from Hamilton.
Seems like they're asking you for everything.
They are.
So I'm curious how that role has been for you, and if there's anything that, without naming names, anything that anyone's asked you that's kind of surprised you.
Nothing has really surprised me, in all honesty. I'm probably surprising them more with some of the stuff that's going on. A lot of it has been surrounding like cable, TV channels. What is CVS? Shoppers Drug Mart, obviously. And then yesterday I was told Shoppers Drug Mart is like CVS on crack, which is awesome, apparently. There is also grocery stores, different types of grocery stores. What are they equivalent to is another one that comes up. Ketchup chips, dress chips, and whether they need to be like ruffled or not ruffled, obviously ruffled. And then a couple conversations about like street signs, and driving on like different streets where you're like, you can't go straight, but your navigation system is telling you to go straight, but the sign is telling you not to. I'm like, let's just go with the signs and not the navigation. The TTCs, stop if they stop. Don't, that's little rules, little nuances here and there. So I'm trying as best as I can. And I was also asked, Sykes sent me a video of gnats. And she was like, what are these bugs and why are they everywhere? She was a little concerned. I was like, they're harmless, put out some apple cider vinegar and you'll be fine.
Awesome. Yeah. Did you get a consensus on ketchup chips?
I've heard Izzy, I believe, said it was interesting. And I told her it's one of those things you got to keep going. Like the first time is just like, okay, but they will enhance your life if you continue to give them the opportunity to do so. But she did eat the Lay's, which are the proper ones to try on the first try. Yeah. Shireen, get a mic.
Hey, Kia, Shireen Ahmed, CBC Sports. Over the years, we've talked a lot about not having a professional team. There's no domestic league in Canada yet. You're here now.
Wild.
You're doing this, but I'm just wondering about the emotions, and if you could just let us know a little bit about how that's been feeling. You talked about before the bounce and what that meant. How are you trying to manage those emotions? Because this is a big deal. You're literally the face of women's basketball in this country. But also enjoy that moment, but also lock in.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I've heard that term before, right? Like face of women's basketball in this country. And I don't wake up and think about that very often. I hear it more from like you guys more than anything else. And I'm like, okay, like if that's what you think it is, that's what you think it is. Like I personally go out every single day and I'm just kind of enjoying what I get to do. And I think that will come with sitting down and really like looking at what I've been able to accomplish in my career when all is said and done and I have time to actually do that. But at this point, I think a lot of it is just, I go home on off days, like if I just feel like it, like if I want to go sit in my home in Hamilton, I go do that, put the dog in the car and we go. And I sit there and I'm like, this is so weird because usually I'm gone for 6 months. I don't get to come back to these kind of quiet places that are very much my own and very much me. And so I feel very grateful for that opportunity. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be on this stage and to be given this platform for growing women's basketball in Canada. And there have been a lot of hard days in my journey and a lot of sacrifices that have come with it. And I don't think I necessarily have always shown that because I'm very good at hiding it. And so I think for me, the emotions have really just been like, you deserve this and you've earned this and you've worked towards having the opportunity to be in a franchise like this on home soil. And so it's really special, and it's kind of a full circle moment that if you sit down and think about everything that you've gone through in your careers, at some point it all had to make sense. And I think being able to play at home now, it all kind of makes sense. And it all feels like it's where it's exactly supposed to be and where I'm exactly supposed to be. And for that, it's been really, really special.
Really quick follow-up. We've heard some negative things about Poutine and some no's. Are you going to try to talk to your teammates about, because we're just...
I can only do so much. I really can. I can place the exciting things in life in front of them. Whether they decide to like them or not is far out of my control. But I can keep trying to force feed it to them. And so I will. Don't you worry. I very much will.
Hey, Kia, Savannah Hamilton, Glory Media, Cinderella Stories podcast. Curious to know, like, just, you kind of mentioned it, but, like, has the past, I guess, like, let's call it 2 weeks since Chelsea broke the news, like, has it
Oh,
just
yeah, Chelsea.
been, Chelsea over here. I got you, girl. Has it just been, like, almost like going through the motions, or have you been able to actually take it all in yet? Like, sit back?
The first day that it all came out was going through the motions. It was a lot, and it was kind of cool because I think I came from a different situation last year where I felt a lot of negativity from kind of like online situation, and so coming here, it was like so much love and so much positivity, and I was like, this is amazing. Like, this is just such a different feeling to be in this place, and so personally, I thought, first day I was like, I don't even know what's going on. I'm just responding to everybody and making sure I'm responding to some people that like I have to respond to right now because we have things to get done, and just, you know, maneuvering around it. But I have had an opportunity to kind of sit in it. And I think it was, in all honesty, I was having a pretty rough time just like sitting in free agency because there was such an uncertainty. And I remember sitting there and talking to my agent, Bernie, and being like, so do I have to figure out my life within the next 6 days? Do I need to pack up my whole life? Do I need to figure out how to get my dog places and like get in a car and like go? Or am I staying home? Like, am I just going 55 minutes up the road? Like, what's our situation? And I was having a really tough day. And 4 or 5 of my high school friends came over that night, and we sat and we just watched Netflix and stuffed our faces with Cinnabons and cookies and candy. And they just sat there and they listened to me talk. And they were like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? And I just sat there and I was like, X, Y, and Z. I feel this, I feel that. This is giving me this, da, 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 da. And in my head, I sat there and I was like, this could happen at any point in the season, because seasons are rocky, right? There's ups and there's downs to it. And at any point when I need to get away from it, I can sit in this basement, turn on Netflix with my friends that give two shits about how I played that day, and only care about me as a human being, and be okay. And I think in that moment, I was like, I want to be home. Like, I want the opportunity to be able to have those breaks and those outlets, and the people that I love the most and that have been a part of my journey the most, that see me as humanly as possible, to be around for it.
And just a quick follow-up on that, even, you mentioned, like, obviously being home and the importance of that, but how also poetic is it that you're coming home with a new CBA deal, too?
What a good CBA, huh? It was worth the wait, let's put it that way. And I would just like to say a major shout out to our leadership team, our executive council for our WPA, because those women, they took every meeting, every single phone call. They stayed in the hotels in the latest hours of the night to make sure that we got what we deserved, and that they were collectively a voice for all of us in the things that we were talking about behind the scenes in terms of what needed to happen in order for our league to take the right direction, and the next step for not only the generation that's playing now, the generation that came before us, and the future generations. And so I'm really excited about what the CBA was able to accomplish, and where we are headed as a league, and where we're headed as a collective group of players. The expansion of the league in terms of adding teams, adding roster spots, adding development roster spots as well. There's just so much on top of the pay raise that was very much deserved, that exists now in the CBA, that I think is so important and so special as we continue to grow this sport, and move forward in the right direction as professional athletes. Yeah, I'm a yapper, sorry.
Hi, Kia. Sophie Shake with Raptors Republic. It's already been mentioned your role with this team as a leader, as an ambassador. In some ways, that's been imparted onto you, obviously being the Canadian on the team. For yourself, whether it's as a basketball player or just as a teammate, what other role or roles are you hoping to kind of take on with this team as you grow going into the season?
I think for me, I've prided myself on always being a glue piece in whatever locker room I'm in. And so I think, you know, you can have the conversations about everything that happens on the floor, the numbers and the stats and whatnot. But part of what I want to do always is be that kind of person in the locker room that anybody feels like they can go to. And a lot of that starts with the early days, creating individual conversations with people and getting to know them on an individual level. So I can say, you know, Kiki's new and she's young. How does she respond best to criticism? How does she respond best to, you know, validation and doing things well? It's the same thing that you do with a lot of the vets in the league, like that I've played against for all of these years, and just understanding the same things that they might need. And then also just kind of being that person where knowing that things are going to be rough. I've been on a couple rebuild teams in my career. I've been on a couple of teams that have played really well. I was on a team that went to the finals. And just being able to kind of understand what is needed in those moments. So we play basketball for a living. It's one of the coolest jobs in the entire world, if I'm being very honest about it. But at the same time, every single time we pick up a basketball or step onto the floor, our livelihood is dependent on it. And so there is a pressure and there is a certain responses that happen to winning versus losing. And so in a locker room, you need people that are going to want to continue every single day to make sure that the vibes are high. I do would you rathers. That's usually my thing. Slim has taken over the riddle game, so there's usually a riddle on the board and a would you rather. I was on the weight room the other day, I was asking about Beyonce, Rihanna, like just little tidbits of information that you can learn about other people, but also like just to kind of keep vibes high. You want to go to karaoke? Call me. Escape rooms? Call me. Like I'm the kind of person that will do all of those weird things because I enjoy doing them myself personally. And so that's the role that I want to play. And it's a role that nobody on the outside gets to see. And I don't really need the validation of it from the outside, but as long as I'm doing it properly on the inside of the locker room, that is a massive piece of it. And then on the floor, I want to continue to space the floor, knock down the 3-ball with consistency, be somebody that's annoying on the defensive end. I pride myself on talking a little trash and being annoying when it need to be, and bringing toughness every single day because I know those things are all very controllable. Hi.
Hey, Kia. Hey, Kia, Rachel from the Globe and Mail. I'm wondering how much the broadcasting role has changed you, changed your analytical mind, or helped you grow in terms of, basketball acumen, intelligence, all that sort of thing.
Yeah, a lot of it is watching the game in a lot of different ways. And I think if you've followed the Raptors on TSN for a couple of years now, you'll notice now that I get devices to play with. As of this season, I've been given a tablet, and the tablet allows me to actually kind of pause the plays, draw on them, show where people are supposed to be. Sometimes we're focusing on the good, so this is the things that the Raptors are doing really well, and they're creating disadvantage because of it. Other times we're focusing on where they could be better. So they're trying to create this advantage, but because X, Y, and Z is happening, it's not opening up for them. And so it allows me to be analytical in a different way. And so when I'm watching film of opponents that we're playing against, or I'm watching games, I can now watch them with a different lens instead of just paying attention to where the ball is flowing. It's a lot more, how did the ball get there and why did it make sense to do that? And so it's been really good for me. I thoroughly enjoy watching the NBA games as well, because you get an opportunity to see some players that might be similar in things that they do, and how is it that, I can take that from their game, and how is it that Steph Curry's movement is so consistent? It gets him open shots, right? I don't want to dribble the ball a million times. Everybody knows that about me. I'd rather shoot the ball a million times, just catch and shoot. So how do a lot of these shooters come off of screens and get their feet set? It's really just allowed me a different way to look at the game, and see it from a different analytical lens, but also to enjoy it from the perspective of a fan, when oftentimes I'm usually watching it for work.
As we've seen a lot of these players coming in that are brand new to the league, sorry, Jess with CTV
Yeah,
Toronto. It has been so interesting to listen to some of them talk about how they're taking their college experience and coming here, and they have that experience as vets on that side of things. Now they're rookies, and they're leaning into you guys. We had Marina and Slim both say they've learned in this training camp when to talk, when to kind of take a step back. What have you taken out of training camp so far? Obviously, you've got a wealth of knowledge and experience, and people know you from the broadcast side, they know you from the basketball side, but what have you taken out of this training camp so far?
A lot of it has been kind of similar. You're in a brand new situation and everybody is brand new, right? And so it's finding different ways in which you can be helpful without being too much or like overbearing. Like I said, I'm a yapper. Like I will sit and talk with anybody that they want to, whenever they want. So I use that a lot on the court. So defensively, a lot of times I'm talking about what I'm doing on the court because one, that helps me remember what I'm doing, but two, it helps other people know where I am. And that's a lot. Like communication is such a massive part of basketball. And so it's being able to understand, like, we are all taking this in. There's a lot of grace that has to be given for pretty much everything, but especially when we're on court, picking up new things. Like, everybody in the NBA and the WNBA, we all run the exact same offenses. It's different personnel, right? And we're all trying to create the exact same advantages. So once they get into it, Sandy runs the same offenses that I ran with Sandy in Phoenix. They just have different names now. And so picking up little pieces here and there of like, when's the good time to kind of step in? When is it a time to pull someone aside and give them a little bit of a help? Or is it the right time to bring everybody in collectively as a group and say, hey, we need to pick up our energy or pick up our communication in order for us to get better. So like Sandy mentioned a ton early on in this training camp, we're building the blocks for our foundation culturally on the court and off the court. And so every single day it's about the process and the journey of doing that because we're brand new. And so focusing on that process is grace, but it's also expecting excellence every single day. And so being able to find the balance between that has been something that I've definitely taken away from this.
Hi, Kia. Nicole with Reuters. You guys are going to be playing in Vancouver and Montreal as well. How important is it that fans in other Canadian cities will be able to see you and experience this historic moment as well?
Well, massive. This is Canada's team for a reason. And it's one of the things that I've tried to allude and teach my teammates about pretty early on is that we're not a city we are a city, but it's not just the city that's cheering for us, right? It's an entire country. And being able to get to different parts of the country in Vancouver and Montreal, which have proven to have very, very high desire for basketball. Obviously, the Grizzlies were out there at one point. And I've been a part of some of the preseason games with the Raptors out in Montreal. And so it's really exciting for us as a franchise and as an organization to bring these games to these cities because we all know in this room it's so much important how important representation is, right? Especially for young female athletes. And think about the times that one of these young women who come to our game might be able to say, there was a game in Vancouver, it was the Toronto Tempo, and I went, right? And they picked up a basketball or they picked up a soccer ball or any kind of sport and the things that they're going to take from that as they continue to get older. And I think it's really special that this organization being the first of its kind, globally, first global team or international team for the WNBA, first WNBA team in Canada to go into these cities and create this place of belonging, because that's what sport is, right? It's a place where you belong. It's a place where you can look out on the court and see somebody that looks like you and resonate with them, resonate with their story. To be able to do that across Canada is truly special because this is a country that loves its sports, that loves to support its sports teams. And both Vancouver and Montreal are incredible at doing that. So I'm really excited to be able to bring the tempo there.
Thank you. And just a quick follow-up, you mentioned karaoke. What is your go-to song?
Oh, great question. For a long time, it was Listen by Beyonce. Can I hit those notes? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I've kind of slid over to like a little Pink Pony Club lately. I will be going back to Beyonce. It's all about where you are, who you're singing to, and can you get them to sing along.
Hi, Kia.
Hi.
Hi, Inka from Shoes for Sports. You touch a little bit about the pipeline and growing the game. We know there are only a handful of Canadian-born players in the W. What are you hoping that, in terms of opportunities with some of the expansion teams that are coming, what opportunities are you hoping to see for us as fans to see more Canadian-born players in the W?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to be able to see that coming up. I think if you look at obviously the NCAA tournament, you look at the pathway that we've created now and the amount of girls that we have coming up through that. I think about the class with Silas Swords and Toby Fournier and Jasmine Bosco and Delaney Gibb. Like, they're 2 years out of coming into the WNBA. But you'll see another influx of Canadian players. We had an influx this year a little bit as well with some additional players coming in. And so I think with the roster expansion spots, with the new teams, there will be more opportunity. And I've said this a million times, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself for people, but my age division, my age group now, we're fielding an entire Olympic basketball team in Canada right now on the men's side from the NBA. And right now we've got, like you mentioned, a handful of W on the women's side. we're all pretty much Vince Carter kids. That era of growing up with the Toronto Raptors, him winning the slam dunk competition, and basketball becoming kind of this cool sport in a country that was so dominated by hockey. I think in 10 to 15 years, you're going to look back and you're going to see all these kids and all these young women that are on the national team. And when you have a conversation with them about where their love for basketball, their influence for basketball comes, they'll be Tempo kids. And so that is where the massive influence and the massive change that I think this organization, this franchise will have in women's sports will be huge. You'll be able to field an entire Olympic roster from WNBA players because these will be Tempo influenced players. And I think that's truly what is so special about this organization being in existence today, because it's not going anywhere and it's going to create such a massive influx of talent, desire for basketball. And those kids that make the Olympic team, international rosters, WNBA teams, awesome. The ones that don't, but played all the way through high school, I mean, they're going to be leading our society. They're going to be the ones that are sitting in those front offices, making all the decisions about the world that we need. And I think that's a special part of what this organization can do.